The slap of his voice hit me before my feet even touched the floor. "Ma, get up, it's 5. Jenna likes her coffee hot at 6. And don't forget to set the table nice. That's your job now." My eyes burned from sleep. My knees cracked when I swung my legs off the tiny guest bed. I'm 71, not a machine, but there I was, shuffling to their fancy kitchen like some live-in maid they forgot to pay. The house was dark and cold. I pulled my old blue shawl tighter around my shoulders and turned on the light over the stove. Their coffee machine cost more than my whole living room set, but somehow I was the only one who knew how to push the buttons. I ground the beans, filled the water, wiped the counter, laid out the good plates Jenna kept for guests, even though I did not count as one. By 5:30, the smell of coffee filled the kitchen. I set out sugar, cream, her silly flavored syrups, and the mug she called my queen cup. One for her, a plain chipped one for me, none for my son because he can get his own, she said. Funny how that worked. At 5:45, I heard her heels on the stairs, sharp little clicks like she was tapping her power on the floor. My son Mark walked behind her, half awake, tie hanging loose. "Morning," I said, trying to sound cheerful. Old habit, Jenna didn't even look at me at first. She sniffed the air like she was judging it. "Is that the vanilla hazelnut or the caramel blend?" she asked. "Vanilla hazelnut," I said. "The one you like?" She finally turned her eyes on me, slow and cold. "About time you started pulling your weight, Linda," she said. "We're giving you a place to live, least you can do is be useful." Mark didn't defend me. He just stared at his phone, thumbs moving. "She's fine, Mom," he muttered. "Don't start." That "don't start" cut deeper than any knife. I raised that boy alone, double shifts, burnt fingers, swollen feet. Now I was some old woman taking up space and early morning oxygen. I swallowed the hurt and watched Jenna sip her coffee, her pink lips leaving a little mark on the rim. She made a satisfied sound. "Okay," she said. "Every day, 5 a.m., same thing. Coffee table, that's your schedule. Set his alarm if you have to. Understood?" "Understood." I smiled, but something hard clicked into place inside my chest like a lock turning. I heard it as clear as the spoon tapping her cup. After they left for work, I sat alone at the table, my own coffee gone cold. My hands shook, but not from age this time, from anger. From the way my son's eyes slid away from mine like I was embarrassing him just by breathing. I looked at the digital clock on the kitchen island. Bright red numbers glowed back at me. 8:02 am. "You want me on a schedule?" I whispered. "Okay, baby, let's talk about schedules." I saw his phone on the counter where he'd forgotten it, like he forgot everything that mattered. The screen lit up with his lock screen photo. Him and Jenna on a beach, holding champagne, smiling like they never had a problem in their perfect little world. I knew his passcode. Of course I did. Mothers always know more than they say. I opened his alarm app. There it was. 5 a.m., labeled Mom Up. My jaw clenched so tight my teeth hurt. With one little swipe, I changed it to 4 a.m., then I added another alarm for Jenna. 4:05 am, labeled Queen's Special Coffee. I stared at those alarms, a slow smile creeping over my face. If they thought 5 a.m. was my job, they were about to learn what real work looked like. Because the next morning, that coffee was going to taste a whole lot different. And so was their idea of what I was willing to swallow. The next morning, the alarm went off at 4 a.m. sharp. Mark shot up in bed like someone had poured ice water on him. I heard his voice down the hall. Why is it 4? His bedroom door opened and his heavy steps hit the hallway floor. I was already in the kitchen. The house was still dark, but I didn't feel small in it anymore. I had the lights on over the counter, the coffee machine ready, 2 mugs waiting. My hands moved slow and calm like I had all the time in the world. "Ma," Mark barked as he came in, hair sticking up, eyes wild. "Did you mess with my alarm?" I turned my head and gave him my sweetest old lady smile. "Good morning, honey. You told me to make sure I get up for my job. I thought it'd help if you had a little extra time too." "That's not funny," he said, rubbing his face. "I gotta be fresh for my meeting today." He said my meeting like it was a holy day. When he was little, he used to say my mommy the same way. "It's okay," I said. "Sit, I'll have your coffee ready in a minute. I made Jenna's special early too." He grumbled but sat at the table, checking his phone. I watched his shoulders in that suit shirt he slept in, the same way I watched him when he was 5 and I had to pin his costume for the school play with chipped nails and tired hands. Back then, I used to get up at 4 to pack his lunch. Peanut butter sandwiches cut into little squares, crusts off because he didn't like them. I'd write a note on a napkin, draw a smiley face, tell him I loved him. He used to say, "You make the best lunches, Mom." Somewhere between lunch boxes and this marble kitchen, he forgot. I turned back to the counter and opened the fridge. On the top shelf sat a little jar of chili paste Jenna bought and never used because it was too spicy. I twisted it open. The smell hit my nose like fire. I smiled. "Queen's special coffee," I whispered. I poured her vanilla hazelnut blend, nice and rich. Then I took half a spoon of the chili paste, just enough to burn, and stirred it into her cup until it disappeared. No chunks, no red streaks. Just heat hiding under the sweet smell. I didn't need poison. I just needed a lesson she would feel. The clock on the stove read 4:17. Right on cue, I heard Jenna's heels upstairs, then her voice. "Why is my alarm at 4:05? Mark, what is this?" He shot me a look. "You changed hers too. You said set the alarm, remember?" I said, still calm. "I guess the phone got confused." Jenna came into the kitchen in her silk robe, hair up, face full of attitude. "This is ridiculous," she snapped. "I need my sleep. You two can't just play around with my schedule." "Good morning, sweetheart," I said. "Your coffee's ready just how you like it." She snatched the mug from my hand without a thank you. "It better be," she said, and took a big sip. The change on her face was slow and beautiful. First, a small frown, then her eyes narrowed, then her whole mouth twisted like she had licked the floor. What is this?" she cried, coughing. "My tongue is on fire." Mark stood up fast. "What did you do, Mom?" "I made your favorite," I said, pretending to think. "Vanilla hazelnut. Maybe the machine is acting up, or maybe—" I tilted my head. "Maybe it's just the taste of respect at 4 in the morning." Jenna slammed the cup on the table so hard some coffee spilled on the white runner. "Are you trying to hurt me?" she shouted. "You can't be making mistakes with my coffee. You live here for free. We don't owe you anything." Free. The word hit me harder than any alarm. "I don't live here for free," I said, my voice low now. "You bought this house with my down payment, $30,000 from my savings." "Remember?" Mark's head snapped toward me. "Ma, not this again." But it wasn't again for Jenna. I saw it in her eyes. She looked at him quick, sharp. "You used her money?" she asked. He swallowed. "It was a loan." "She said it was fine." "I never said it was a gift," I answered. "I kept the bank receipt. Date, time, everything. March 12th, 9:14 a.m. You were in my kitchen, smiling, telling me, 'I'll take care of you forever, Mom.'" The room went so quiet I could hear the fridge humming. Jenna wiped her mouth with the back of her hand, breathing hard. "I don't like games," she said. "Fix my coffee, and don't ever bring up money like that again. It's rude." She tried to sound strong, but her voice shook a little. That tiny shake slid into my bones like a warm blanket. Because now I knew something. They both liked to act powerful. But there were cracks. And if there are cracks, you can break the whole thing if you press in just the right place. After the chilly coffee morning, the house went quiet in a new way. Not peaceful, tight. Jenna didn't talk to me all day. She walked around like I was air. When she passed me in the hallway, she held her mug with both hands like I might jump out and season it again. Good, I thought, stay awake. That night I heard them arguing in their bedroom. The walls in that big house were pretty, but they were thin. My name floated through the door like smoke. "You told me the house came from your bonus," Jenna hissed. "Now I find out your mommy paid the down payment?" "Keep your voice down," Mark said. "It's not like that. It was her idea." "No," I whispered to myself in my tiny guest room. "It wasn't." I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to them fight about my money, my house, my body, waking up at 4 to serve coffee like I was furniture. The anger didn't burn wild anymore. It went cold. Sharp. The next morning I moved slower on purpose. I let the coffee machine hiss and spit while I watched them. Jenna came down first. No good morning, no eye contact, just her robe, her phone, and her little frown lines. Mark followed, already dressed, hair perfect, face tight. "Your mom needs to know her place," Jenna said, right in front of me like I wasn't there. "You said she wouldn't be a problem." I set the sugar bowl down hard enough that the spoon clinked. "I can hear you," I said. "My hearing still works just fine." They went quiet. Mark forced a laugh. "She's joking," he said to Jenna. "Right, Mom?" I looked at him, really looked. The suit, the smooth hands. This man who used to fall asleep on my chest in a tiny one-bedroom apartment over a noisy street. Sure, I said. I'm joking like you joked about taking care of me forever. Something passed over his face. Guilt, annoyance, fear. A nice mix. After breakfast, they left in their separate cars, hers new and shiny, his older but still nice. I watched from the window, my coffee cup warm in my hands. When they were gone, I cleaned the kitchen like usual. But this time, I opened every drawer I was not supposed to touch. In the desk by the fridge, under a stack of takeout menus, I found a thin folder with the bank's logo. Their mortgage papers. I flipped through the pages until I saw it. Owner, Mark Caldwell. Co-owner, Jenna Caldwell. No, Linda. No, Mom. No, we'll put you on the house too, Ma, don't worry. I remembered his words when he slid that pen into my hand months ago. It's just bank stuff, Mom. I'll handle everything. Your family, you don't need your name on paper. Simple, stupid me believed it. I sat at the table with the folder open and my old lady hands flat on the wood. The clock ticked on the wall. My coffee went cold again. They did not just forget me, they erased me. On the next page, something else caught my eye. A note from the bank guy written in pen. Thanks again for wiring the 30,000 so fast. Glad your mom could help you start your life right. I felt my jaw clench. I took out my little flip phone from my sweater pocket. Yes, I still used that old thing, but it had a camera. I took a clear picture of that line. Then another and another. I checked each one. Date, time, numbers, all clear. Evidence, I thought, not for a lawyer, for me. Later that week, I got my first real taste of their plan. I was passing by the guest room door when I heard Jenna's voice behind me in the hallway, soft and fake sweet. So Mark, she said, have you called that senior home we saw online? The cheap one on the edge of town. If we sell her old apartment fast, we can upgrade the kitchen before Christmas. I stopped walking. He didn't know I was there. Yeah, he said. I'll talk to the agent. Once her place is gone, she won't have a choice. Won't have a choice. I smiled at the wall, a slow, cold smile. Because right then I decided something very simple. If they were planning a future without me, I was going to plan one without them first. And my plan was not going to be kind. That night at dinner, I decided to poke the bear. We were eating roasted chicken Jenna ordered in, not cooked. She never let her perfect nails near raw meat. I put a small piece on my plate and cleared my throat. So, I said, did you two already pick the senior home you're sending me to, or are we still shopping? Mark's fork froze halfway to his mouth. Jenna's eyes snapped up like I had slapped her. What are you talking about? Mark asked. I smiled, nice and slow. You know, the cheap one on the edge of town. The one that gets better when you sell my apartment fast, that one. Jenna set her fork down very carefully. You must have misunderstood, she said. Her voice was soft, but her jaw was tight. We were just talking about options for your safety. You're getting older. Older. I took a sip of water so my hands wouldn't shake. Funny, I said. I could swear I heard, once her place is gone, she won't have a choice. Maybe my hearing is sharper than you think. Mark laughed, but it sounded wrong. Mom, you always twist things. We're trying to help you. That apartment is small. The stairs are dangerous. We just want what's best. Gaslighting 101, make the old woman doubt her brain. I looked him straight in the eye. What's best, I said, is not planning my future behind my back. He pushed his chair back. Here we go, he said to Jenna. This is why I didn't tell her. She makes everything a drama. You gave us the money, Mom. We're including you. You live here. Without my name on the house, I answered. Without any papers. Just your word, Jenna crossed her arms. Are you really going to act like a victim? We feed you. We put a roof over your head. You should be grateful, not suspicious. There it was, the word again. Grateful. My fingers curled into my napkin. I am not ungrateful, I said, my voice low. I am careful. There's a difference. Jenna stood up, plate in hand. You know what? I can't do this right now. I have a long day tomorrow. I'm not going to be screamed at in my own house. No one is screaming, I said calmly. She rolled her eyes. It's the same thing, the guilt trips, the I gave you this, I gave you that. You're living here rent-free, Linda. Stop acting like we're villains. She walked to the sink, dropping her plate with a loud clatter. Mark leaned toward me, his voice low. You're going to push her away, he said. And then what? You want to end up alone? Stop talking about money. It makes you sound greedy. Greedy. For asking for basic respect and safety. I swallowed hard. I just want honesty, I said. You want control, he snapped. You always have. Let us handle things. He stood up and left his plate half full. They both went upstairs, the fight over in their minds. I sat there alone for a long time, listening to the hum of the fridge again, the tick of the clock, the sound of my own breathing. Then I pulled my flip phone from my pocket. Earlier that day, while cleaning their room, I had seen Mark's laptop open for a second. On the screen was an email thread with a real estate agent. I caught 3 words before he shut it fast. Sell fast, mother's unit. I'd written it down on a scrap of paper. Time, date, subject line, agent's name. Now I laid that scrap on the table next to my phone. I stared at it until the letters almost blurred. They weren't just thinking about selling my apartment. They were already moving. The next morning, I tested the ground again. Over breakfast, I said, I called my old neighbor from the building yesterday, asked if she's seen any for sale signs near my door. Mark's spoon clinked against his bowl. Why would you do that? He asked. Because I'm curious, I said. You know how old ladies are, we worry. Jenna didn't even look up from her phone. You shouldn't bother people with crazy questions, she said. It makes you look confused. Next thing, people will think you can't live alone. That line slid under my skin and hooked deep. They weren't just trying to move things fast. They were also building a story, the confused old woman who needs to be put away. They wanted power, my money, and a clean image. They were going to make me look weak, but the truth was the opposite. They were the ones walking on thin ice, and they had no idea I was already holding the matches. The next morning, I didn't wake up angry, I woke up focused. I lay in that little guest bed and stared at the ceiling. They think I'm weak, I whispered. They think I'm confused. Okay, let's use that. Step 1. Stop being alone in this. After they left for work, I put on my good sweater, brushed my hair, and grabbed my old purse. Inside, I had 3 things: my ID, my bank card, and my flip phone with the photos of the mortgage papers. I wrote a note for the kitchen counter. Went out for a walk, don't wait for me. Mom, let them wonder a little. I took the bus back to my old neighborhood. The ride was long and bumpy, but my heart felt lighter with every stop. When we turned onto my old street, I almost cried. The old grocery store, the broken mailbox, the tree where Mark used to hide his little toy cars. I walked into my old building like I still owned the air in it. My neighbor Rosa opened her door before I even knocked. Linda, she gasped. Girl, what are you doing back here? She hugged me tight. She smelled like laundry soap and fried onions. Home. I needed to see you, I said. And I needed the truth. Has anyone come here asking about my apartment? Any agents? Any for sale signs? She pulled me inside quick. Yes, she whispered. A man in a suit came last week, said your son was handling the sale. I told him I thought you still lived here. He said, not for long. The words hit my chest like bricks, but they were also exactly what I needed. Rosa, I said, can I borrow your printer and your Wi-Fi? I need to print some papers. She frowned. Are you in trouble? I smiled, but it felt sharp. No, honey, I said, they are. We used her old computer. I plugged my flip phone in with a cable and pulled up the photos I took of the bank paper. The line about my $30,000, the note from the bank man. Rosa helped me print them out. The ink was a little faded, but the words were clear. I made 3 copies of everything, one for me, one for just in case, one for later. Keep one set here, I told her. If anything happens to me, give it to my cousin Maria. You still have her number? She nodded, eyes wide. Linda, this is serious. Yes, I said. It is. Next, I walked 2 blocks to my bank. I sat down with a young man in a neat tie and a tired face. His name tag said Evan. I want to make sure no one can move money from my account except me, I told him. Not my son, not his wife, no power of attorney there, nothing. He checked the system. There's no one else on your account right now, he said. But we can add a note that we must see you in person with ID for any big changes. No phone changes, no emailed forms. Do that, I said, and print it out. He did. I folded that paper and put it deep in my purse. That was not lawful revenge. That was just armor. Revenge was something else. On the bus ride back to their house, I stared out the window and thought about what would hurt them most. Money would sting, sure, but image, pride, control, that would cut deeper. Jenna loved to show off. Perfect house, perfect husband, perfect life. She was always hosting little brunches for her friends and family, making sure everyone saw her marble counters and her stupid queen mug. So I decided to use that. That night, while she scrolled on her phone, I said in my softest, sweetest voice, You know, Jenna, I was thinking maybe we should invite your parents and a few friends over for brunch this Sunday. To thank you for taking me in. To show everyone what a good couple you are. Her eyes lit up like Christmas lights. That's actually not a bad idea, she said. It'll look good. Mom's been asking to see the house again. Of course she had. Mark smiled, relaxed. See, Mom, he said, you're coming around. I smiled back. If only he knew what I was really planning for that thank you brunch. Because Sunday morning, the coffee on that perfect table was not just going to wake them up. It was going to blow up the little perfect picture they'd built around themselves. Sunday morning came bright and sunny, like the weather didn't know what kind of mess was about to happen inside that house. Jenna was already in full hostess mode by 7. She wore a tight cream dress and gold earrings. She walked around pointing at things while I ironed napkins and set the table. Fold the napkins like this, she said, showing me some fancy shape from her phone. And make sure my parents sit at the good side of the table. Mom hates the glare from the window. Yes, Jenna, I said, nice and sweet. Anything for the queen? She didn't catch the tone. She never did. I set out the plates and silverware, lined up the glasses, and placed a little white envelope on top of each plate. On the front, in my neat handwriting, each said the same thing. Thank you for loving family, from Linda. Jenna saw them and smiled. Aw, she said. That's actually cute. You see, Mark, she's trying. Oh, I am, I thought. Inside each envelope was a copy of that banknote. The one that said my $30,000 helped start their life right. The one they never wanted anyone to see. At 9:30, the doorbell rang. Jenna's parents came first, all perfume and comments. Hi, Linda, her mother said, air kissing near my cheek. So good of you to help them. You're lucky they took you in. Lucky, I repeated in my head. Sure. Next came 2 of Jenna's friends from work with big fake laughs and bigger phones. Then her cousin with her new boyfriend. Last, right when the coffee smell was strongest, Rosa walked in with my cousin Maria. Jenna frowned when she saw them. Oh, I didn't know we invited extra guests, she said. I wiped my hands on my apron. I asked if I could invite a couple of my people too, I said. You said yes, remember. You were too busy picking dessert to listen, but you nodded. She couldn't argue in front of her mom. She forced a smile. Of course, she said. The more the merrier. Everyone sat. There was chatter, clinking, ooh and ah over the kitchen and the counters. Jenna was glowing. Mark looked proud. I poured coffee for everyone, slow and steady. I made one small change. Jenna's queen mug had her usual sweet, rich coffee, but this time I added something special from a little bottle Rosa brought me the day before. It wasn't poison. I'm not a murderer. It was a strong, natural stomach-cleansing tea concentrate. Very safe, very fast, very embarrassing if it hits at the wrong time. I stirred it in until it vanished. Jenna raised her mug when everyone had their plates. I just want to say, she began, we're so happy to have my mother-in-law with us. She's adjusting. She smiled at me like I was a new pet. We're doing our best to take care of her in her old age. There it was, the story, old. Weak Lucky, I folded my napkin in my lap and watched her drink 1 big swallow. 2, 3, she liked to sip while she talked. Linda sold her little old place, her mother added loudly. It was too much for her. Now she's safe with you too, so responsible. Mark glanced at me, warning in his eyes. Don't say it, his face begged, but my time for staying quiet was over. I didn't sell my place, I said, calm and clear. And I didn't give them my money as a gift. The table went still. What do you mean? Jenna's mother asked. I smiled and nodded at the envelopes. Maybe it's easier if everyone just opens their card, I said. A little thank you note from the bank, you could say. Paper ripped all around the table. Eyes dropped to the words. I watched the confusion change to surprise, then to something heavier. 30,000 from your account? Jenna's cousin read under her breath. Rosa looked straight at Mark. So this is the bonus you told people about? She asked. Your mom's savings? Jenna's mother's face turned red. She stared at her daughter's husband like she'd never seen him before. Mark, she said slowly, is this true? He opened his mouth, closed it, then tried again. It was a loan, he said. She offered, we were going to pay it back. It's not really, Maria cut in, because this note says thank your mom for helping you start your life right. No mention of loan anywhere. Jenna put her mug down hard, her hands shook, not just from the tea. Because for the first time since I moved into that house, the room wasn't on their side. It was on mine, and I hadn't even started with the cruel part yet. Jenna's hand was shaking so much now, a drop of coffee slid over the rim and hit the tablecloth. Her mother held the paper up like it was dirty. "You told us you did this all on your own," she said to Mark. "You said your bonus paid for the house. You never said my mother emptied her savings." Mark's face went pale. "I didn't empty anything," he said fast. "It was a team effort. Families help each other. Mom's making it sound worse than it is." Rosa cleared her throat. "She worked 40 years in that store for this money," she said quietly. "I remember when she showed me the number on her account. She cried happy tears." Everyone turned to look at me. I didn't cry now. "I gave him that money," I said. "He looked me in the eye and said, 'I'll take care of you forever, Mom. You'll always have a home.' I believed him. I moved into this room, gave up my own place, and then I heard them planning to sell my apartment and toss me into the cheapest home they could find." Jenna slammed her hand on the table. The mugs rattled. "That's not true," she snapped. "We were trying to keep you safe. You can't twist." I pulled another folded paper from my apron pocket and laid it in the middle of the table. "Email subject line," I said. "From the real estate agent. Sell fast, mother's unit." Maria reached out and read it first. Her eyes hardened. "He's not talking about safety here," she said. "He's talking about getting rid of you fast." The room filled with a low, ugly murmur. Jenna's stomach must have started to feel the tea because she shifted in her chair, one hand pressing against her middle. This is all out of context," she said. "Linda loves drama. She always has." Her voice sounded tight, a little out of breath. Jenna's mom narrowed her eyes. "You told me her apartment money was some small help," she said slowly. "You didn't say 30,000. You didn't say you were hiding the sale from her." Mark looked like a trapped animal. "We were going to tell her," he said, "later when it was done so she wouldn't panic." "So I wouldn't fight," I corrected. I pushed my chair back and stood up. My knees hurt, but my voice did not. "You want to know what's really going on?" I asked the table. "They set my alarm for 5, made me their servant, called me confused, and behind my back they told people I couldn't live alone. They were building a story so that when they locked me away in some cheap home, everyone would nod and say, 'Well, she needed it.'" Rosa nodded hard. "He told me the same at the building," she added. "Said you were slipping, that you'd thank him later." A few people at the table gasped. Jenna's face went gray, sweat beaded on her forehead. She pressed her napkin to her lips. "Excuse me a second," she muttered, jumping up. She half ran toward the hallway bathroom, heels clacking fast. The tea was working. A sharp, ugly sound echoed a moment later. The pipes groaned. Everyone heard it. "Perfect." Her friends exchanged looks. One of them whispered, "Is she okay?" I gave them a small smile. "Sensitive stomach," I said. "Sometimes people can't handle what they swallow." Mark stood too, flustered. "This brunch is getting out of hand," he snapped. "Mom, you didn't have to drag everyone into our private business. You're making me look like a monster." I held his gaze. "You did that yourself." He opened his mouth to argue, but his phone buzzed on the table. The screen lit up with a notification banner, big and bright. New email. "Listing photos, mother's unit." Everyone saw it. Rosa read it out loud, slow. "Mother's unit," she repeated. "Not our family place, just unit." Mark grabbed the phone, but it was too late. The words were hanging in the air like smoke. I leaned forward, resting my hands on the back of my chair. "You wanted to sell my home behind my back," I said. "You wanted to throw me away and still look like heroes. So here's my crazy old lady move in front of witnesses." I turned to Maria and Rosa. "You both know my lawyer's name," I said. "You both have copies of the banknote. If anything happens to me, if I suddenly get confused or forget who I am, you will not deal with my son. You will go straight to my cousin. You will tell everyone exactly what happened here today." Maria nodded. "I already planned to," she said. That part was protection. The cruel part was still coming, because I hadn't told them yet about the one thing I changed that would cut them the deepest. The thing that meant this house, this image, this fake little kingdom would never feel safe for them again. Not after what I did with my money and my name. Jenna stayed in the bathroom a long time. We heard the toilet flush, the water run, then another flush. Her friends stared at their plates. Jenna's mother pressed her lips together like she wanted to disappear. Mark tugged at his collar. Okay, Mom, you made your point, he said. We'll talk about the money later, in private? I sat back down. No, I said, we'll talk about it now with witnesses. You two love private talks, that's where the lies live. Maria nodded. Best to keep the lights on, she said. I reached into my apron and pulled out one more folded paper. I placed it in front of me but kept my hand on it. You want to know what I did after I heard you planning my future? I asked. I went back to my old street. Rosa smiled sadly. She did, she said, showed up with that old purse and fire in her eyes. I looked at Mark. I went to my building, to my bank, to my own life. And I moved fast like you taught me. Sell fast, remember, only this time I wasn't the one on the menu. He swallowed. What did you do? I opened the paper and slid it toward Maria. Read it, I said. She put on her glasses and read. Transfer of ownership, she began. Effective immediately, the property known as Unit 3 billion is signed over from Linda Caldwell to Maria Santos, to be held in trust for Linda's care only. No access granted to her son Mark Caldwell or his spouse Jenna Caldwell for any sale, loan, or equity. The room went silent. Jenna came back from the bathroom, face pale, makeup smudged. She sat down slowly, hand on her stomach. What did I miss? She croaked. Mom just gave away her apartment, one of her friends said, to someone who actually likes her. I met Jenna's eyes. Don't worry, I said softly. You still have this house for now, you just don't have my money or my name. Mark's voice cracked. You can't just give it away, he said. We planned around that place. We already talked to the agent. You planned around something that was never yours, I answered. And you talked to the agent without the owner, that's called wishful thinking. Jenna's mother looked at him with open disgust. You used your mother as a down payment, she said, and now you get nothing back. You made us brag about a lie. She turned to me. Did you at least keep something for yourself? She asked. Oh, yes, I said. The trust pays my rent if I move out, pays for a nurse if I need one, pays for a little vacation if I feel like seeing the ocean again. Every dollar is for me, not them. They never get a cent. Mark stared at me. So you're cutting me off? He asked. The part of me that used to pack his lunch felt a sting, but the part that made coffee at 5 a.m. like a servant did not. You cut yourself off, I said. You finally see it? Jenna shifted again, breathing shallow. This is cruel, she whispered. I tilted my head. No, I said. Cruel was planning to throw me away while using my money and my story to look generous. This is me putting the knife back in your hands and turning on the lights so everyone can see what you're holding. Rosa reached over and squeezed my shoulder. You're not crazy, she said. You're finally done, I nodded. And I'm not finished yet, I added, looking at Mark and Jenna. You wanted alarms, you're about to wake up to a new one tomorrow. Because the sharpest part of my plan wasn't about money or papers. It was about making sure they never felt safe using my name again. The next morning, the house woke up before anyone was ready. At 4 o'clock a.m., Mark's phone alarm went off. Make your own coffee. At 4:05, another alarm, your wife has legs. At 4:10, a third one, your mom is not the maid. Down the hall, I heard him curse and fumble with the phone. I smiled in the dark of the guest room and swung my legs out of bed for the last time in that house. I had packed the night before, one small suitcase, my purse, the folder with my papers. The rest of my things didn't matter. In the kitchen, I wiped the counters one more time, not for them, but for me. I unplugged the fancy coffee machine and left it shining on the counter. Next to it, I put my house key and a note. Out of order, so am I. Mom, no drama, no long speech, just that. By 5 o'clock a.m., while the house was still half asleep and Jenna was probably fighting her stomach again, I stepped out the front door and closed it gently behind me. I did not look back. Rosa met me at the bus stop with a thermos of coffee and a warm scarf. You sure about this? She asked. Yes, I said. For once in my life, I'm sure. Instead of going back to my old unit right away, I went to a small building 3 blocks over. No stairs, just an elevator. The trust money would cover a simple, clean 1-bedroom there. Maria had already handled the papers with the lawyer. This new place was mine. Only mine. No one had a key but me. The next day, the lawyer sent Mark and Jenna a letter. Not a sweet one. It said they were not allowed to sign anything in my name. They could not speak for me with banks, agents, or homes. If they tried to move me or use my story to get control, the trust would fight back. On paper, in court if needed, with all those witnesses from brunch ready to talk. A week later, Mark showed up at Rose's building, not mine. He didn't know my new address, that was part of the plan. Rosa called up. He's here, she said. You want to see him? I thought for a second, then nodded. Downstairs, I said. Lobby only? He was standing by the mailboxes when I came down. He looked smaller without his big kitchen and his big voice. Mom, he said, you really left? Yes, I answered. I really did. He shifted from foot to foot. People are talking, he said. Jenna's parents are mad. Her mom called me a user. My boss heard about the brunch. He joked about me living off my mother. It's bad. Then stop being that man, I said. And maybe the talking will stop. He flinched. You didn't have to do it like that, he muttered. In front of everyone, you embarrassed us. You plan to erase me in private, I said. The very least I could do was save myself in public. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. Can I at least have a key? He asked. In case something happens to you? No, I said. If something happens to me, Maria and the trust know what to do. You don't need a key. You need to learn how to knock. For a moment, the little boy I used to tuck in at night showed through his grown-up face. Do you still love me? He asked quietly. That hurt, but I didn't look away. I do, I said, but I love myself first now, finally. He nodded, eyes wet. What about Jenna? He asked. She made her choices, I said. She turned me into a servant in my own blood's house. She can live with the story she wrote. We stood there in silence. If you want to see me, I added, you call first, you speak with respect, you don't ask for money. You don't ask for favors, and you never again tell me my job is to serve your wife. He swallowed and nodded. Okay, he whispered. I turned and walked back to the elevator. I did not hug him, not yet. Punishment is not always shouting. Sometimes it's the space you leave. That night in my new apartment, I set a small alarm clock by my bed. I set it for 8 o'clock, not 5. When it rang the next morning, soft and gentle, I got up, made 1 cup of coffee in a cheap little machine, and sat by my window watching the street wake up. No one shouted my name. No one ordered me around. No one called me lucky to be used. I took a slow sip, feeling the warmth spread through my chest, and smiled to myself. For the first time in a long time, the only person I woke up early for was me. Watch next, pick a video on screen, and hit subscribe. Thank you so much guys for your support. Comment your name with your city. I will give you a shout out in next video.